back, it's Christine again with the Artist Pod, and today we'll be taking the drawing of the eyes I did a couple weeks ago, and we'll be adding a nose to it. So let's get arting. Alright, so we're back here, right? We did the eyes a couple weeks ago, so an easy way to draw the nose. Now, of course, there are certain proportions. A lot of people draw the outside of the face first, but if we're continuing on with this, we've already drawn the eyes. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to copy this middle circle here, right? So whatever you did, if you're drawing on a piece of paper, whatever you did to get these circles that you're going to erase out, you're then going to make another one, and you're going to pull that directly under the first one. Now this is to the bottom of the nose, not the nose tip. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a line and draw it straight through. It's white. Let's make it black. Straight through the middle. Right. And then we're going to take another circle. Again, you could hand draw this if you wanted to. All of this is going to be erased. I'm going to put that right underneath right here, right? So this will be not the full tip, but right. This is the bottom, comes up, the tip will be right around there. Doesn't matter exactly how it goes, just to get you an idea of what we're doing. And then add that stroke and deselect. Okay, so now come up on a different layer because now we're actually going to be doing the drawing, right? So this is just our reference, right? So take this circle, move it down. It's the bottom of the nose, not the nose tip, so you still want the nostrils coming down. They will go outside of the area of this circle though, right? So the edges of our nostrils can vary, but they typically push into the edges of the eyes here, right? So this circle won't work. But if we have the nose tip roughly here, bottom of the nose at the bottom of the circle, not the bottom of the little circle, then what we want to do is create kind of a swoop. Right, it's like a little half circle. I may adjust this. This is just where the nostrils are going for the meantime. And then they would be lined up. The bottom of this would be lined up with the bottom of the nose, right? This is where that's coming into play. So making sure that's nice and lined up. And then we're doing two semicircles there. And I'm going to get rid of that whole thing because we probably need to extend it out. Now that we have the rough idea of it, and you have, what was that circle, right? So this is where, oh, wrong circle. If you have the nose tip, would be roughly there, right? Nostril shape will change depending on a lot of factors. Right, so that comes down. Then you're going to have kind of a little bit of a bulge of a circle here. Right, and so if we take off all of these other circles, that's what we have so far. Now, sometimes I add in, right, a lot of people add in the edges of the nose, but it kind of goes in here. It's just that as you come off on the side of the face, there's not really a line that comes down on the nose. And so I will often sort of leave it more up here if I put it at all, because shadowing and highlight are going to change how this is going to do, but I might do something like that to indicate it's coming down. So I hope that's an easy way to describe how to draw in a nose. Just take that circle, copy it, draw a line through the middle, do the circle here so that you get the sense of where the top of the nose is, and then come outside of the circle, push into the eyes, right, so that you're pushing just that bit, and do a little half circle, and then the nostrils. And again, that nostril shape can change. So if I were to add this in after, because I could just do the semicircle of the outside, if I were to add that in after instead, you can you know, our noses can be shaped a bit differently. They can be a bit wider. They can be, a whole lot of factors might change that. But it's really just kind of a swoop, right, on both sides. So you swoop up and then you bulge it and then you come back. Don't connect it, right, because that nose is pushing down. You have, you know, the bottom of the nose here, and then the nostrils themselves would be filled in because this is going into a recess in our heads, right? So now we have the eyes in, we have the nose. Next time we'll work on the mouth, so we're going to need to, obviously this is my paper, my canvas here in Photoshop isn't big enough to add in everything we're going to need to finish drawing out the face. But we'll get to that, but I hope that's an easy way to add in a nose, and that you can get sort of the proportions nice and set. If you're drawing a full face, there are proportions that you would do there. Eyes are typically in the middle, because you have to consider the head above the hairline. But yeah, as we go, we can start doing bigger measurements. If you're uncertain and you're trying to figure out how to draw on a nose and you're drawing a specific person, I would encourage you, just like I would encourage you with the eyes, to always measure. So I always use an eye as my unit of measurement. So I'll measure an eye, just make sure that it's an eye width apart. Like I said, in 99.9% of people, the eyes are an eye width apart. Every once in a while, that's not true. So it's always good to just sort of double check. And then what I'll do is I'll take the eye and I'll twist it. So I'll take my measurement and I'll spin the eye so that I can tell if it's one eye length, or it's typically more than one eye length down, right? So then you measure down and get the exact sense for where that person's nose is going to be, just to make sure. So anytime you're drawing a specific person, always double check these measurements. But this is an easy way to get sort of a face. So, all right, so that's how you draw a nose. Like I said, you know, it's how you draw a nose of some generic person, although the measurements tend to add up. If you're being specific, always measure, just sort of double check it, right? And when I'm measuring, I think I talked about it last time, but in case I didn't, typically close one eye and you hold your pen out and you just use your thumb to line up where the edge of something is, and then you'll measure it against the other features, right? So when I'm measuring a nose, when I was talking about turning the eye, right, I'll get the measurement for the eye, and then I spin it because that's a longer measurement to get the distance down to the nose. So super effective. When I learned how to do this when I was in college, it changed my ability to draw, because if you can measure anything, you can draw anything. And that's really the secret to artists, is just measure. Take something on the person or the animal or whatever it is you're drawing. Like I said, with people, I typically choose eyes. Take something and then use that something to measure, and you'll be right every time. You can't mess up the proportions that way of anybody, because you're measuring every specific face. So what I'm teaching here is just sort of a generic face, if we're just sort of drawing out a generic face. And you don't really have a reference, or you feel like you don't need one, you can just do this. If you're drawing a specific person, I always measure. Admittedly, you know, there's certain things like eyes being an eye width apart is a pretty standard thing. And so typically what I'm doing is a very lazy, quick measurement, because I know that's usually the case, and I'm just verifying that's right more than I'm doing anything else. And then just pay attention to the shape of their eyes and their nose and everything else, the features that make us people. So, yeah. In the floating nether next to me, I have other videos of art tutorials I've done, and I will see you all soon. Thank you so much. Take care.